So welcome, Genc. It's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Melitta. I'm happy to be here and share my thoughts
Great.
with
Well,
you.
I'm
Yeah.
happy that you're happy because I announced on the podcast last week that I was going to track you down and make you answer these technical questions. So I'm pleased that you've done that happily.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm always happy to share everything that I know. So yeah, it's always my pleasure.
It's been really fun since we've been working on the website to look at the evolution of websites. And, we were both there in the early days of putting websites together, you more on the back end. So you really had all that pain
Yeah.
related to the technology then. So it's been really fun to have that conversation. But I'd love it if you could share with the audience, how was that evolution for you? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I started actually, I had a passion creating websites, as I think many people like me started like doing websites for friends, for people we know. And I just created a portfolio and then got a job on that as a web designer. But I jumped into that job without really being prepared for that. So like jumping in water without knowing how to swim. So but that helped me a lot. Practice is a whole difference when you do things. And you will learn much faster, especially in small companies, because you have to do a lot of things. And there where you'll learn faster because you're not just doing one thing and maybe being bored or I don't know. So that helped me. And through my journey more than 12 years ago, we're talking, I had a lot of big projects for big companies. For about 6 years, I had a pleasure also to work for Cristiano Ronaldo, one of my biggest projects then. And everything I learned till now was so self-taught and learning and doing and watching a lot of YouTube. So I stayed at the beginning without earning any money. I stayed about 6, 7 hours a day on computer. So that was because I loved what I do. And yeah, I did a lot of stuff from web design at the beginning, some After Effects things, animations, 3D, and everything that had to do with technology impressed me. And that is how everything started.
Yeah, I was always very intrigued by how everything worked and just how pretty much anything was possible. But that whole idea of figuring it out just blew my mind. So I ran in the opposite direction from that. So it's interesting that that was what compelled you to stay at the computer all those hours and really learn all of this and put it into practice and try it out. How have websites changed over that time in the way they're used by companies? Has it changed? Is it just the technology? Or do you think the purpose of a website has changed alongside that?
Yeah, I think both have changed. I think both have changed. At the beginning, for my opinion, it was not easy to do a website. And most people were just happy having a website, just having one. However it looked, they didn't care a lot about that. And then with the time, the ones who created websites, they were looking to new solutions and technology evolved as well. So the people creating these softwares for creating websites started seeing that people are looking more easy ways to create websites. So at the beginning, we didn't have content management system. So at the beginning, everything created static on a website. So everything was in HTML, and in a software, you have to connect all the dots together. And I think it was not easy to make a blog on your own. Then, for example, WordPress, Joomla, and other CMS softwares came in, and it made them easier for people to create websites. So with that, then came new possibilities, new ways to creating websites, and it made for people possible to share their knowledge, to share their thoughts, to create blogs, and so on. So I think both changed parallel because the demand went higher of people looking for new ways. And then on the other side, there were people that saw that opportunity and created new softwares.
Yeah, I think my first website, as it was on front page, which was very simple. But as you're saying, any changes you had to manually update everything. So there were always so many broken pages and links, even though the website was very simple. So it's nice these days that it's a lot easier to manage websites and get things up and running and keep it consistent. You said that in the early days, people really didn't care what it looked like. How important is it to have a website that looks good as well as just having information out there?
I think it's important. It depends what kind of business, but it's important that look and feel because, for example, when people look on the screen and are concentrated, is a whole new room. So you don't see outside the screen. And when you are there, you have to feel at home. So that's the looking of the website. I'm not a fan of overwhelming the website, but having that experience, because it always comes back to who are you trying to attract. The ones you're trying to attract, okay, what's the thing they care most about? On some websites, there are, for example, if you're a small business and selling flowers, then having a website that has colors, that looks great, and taking some time to make some great pictures for that, that will make a big difference, I think.
Yeah.
But there are other websites that don't need to really go into making websites look great, but focus more on the information that's are there on the content of the website. Either way, I think it's important to have a great looking website that's make you feel at home.
Yeah, and I think it builds a certain amount of trust as well. I think there's several elements to it. Like I know when I'm buying wine, for example, I go for the one with the prettiest label. And I think when I'm going to a website, if there's several people that I'm looking at, I will definitely be more attracted to the one that looks good. As you say, it feels like home, it feels like a welcome, and it's easy to navigate. And I think if it has that good design, it gives you a certain amount of trust and credibility because people aren't meeting you for real. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
This is really the first impression they're having of your business, but it's really the first impression they're having of you because they fuse all these kind of bits of information they gather about you online with you and your personality. So it's really important to recognize that your website is representing you. So you have to make sure it does that in the way that you want to. And as you say, nowadays with the technology and the ease of websites, there's no real reason why you can't have it just as you want it.
Yeah, that's true. And also together with that goes the user experience. You mentioned the ease of use. So that's where people must find easy what they're looking for. So you have to click through the websites and think, okay, where I want them to go, am I making it easier for them? So that's the question I think should be asked. It goes together with the design, with the look and feel, and the easy to use, because we see in many websites, I'm pretty sure you were in the situation where even if the website was great, but you couldn't find what you were looking for. There's no reason for making it difficult for people to reach you out.
So you mentioned that the design is important, that the navigation and the ease of use is important. Is there anything else that's really important to consider when creating your website or updating it?
Yeah, so the most important thing I think is the copywriting, what you write on the website, because it is a communication with your potential customer, with the people you're trying to reach. Between then and now, we saw a lot of the websites. So maybe 10 years ago, most websites, even now, are websites that are, so I call them traditional website, like having that home, about, services and contact, and then on the homepage, the summary of those sub pages. But today, the website is more like a story. The first impression is, okay, what you do and how you do it. For example, in some cases, in what time period you achieve that for your potential customers. And then it goes everything with telling a story, which steps you take to solve that problem. Because if I go into the websites, okay, on the headline, for example, they are mentioning the problem I have. Okay, that looks great. And when I start scrolling down, then I have to see how they solve the problem. They have to go a little bit deeper on mentioning those pain points, those everything that your potential customers struggle with. Mention those pain points and then coming up with a solution. Telling that whole story, not just having, okay, I offer this service, I offer this, this, and this. It's not enough for people to convince them to take action and reach you out.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I mean, the copywriting side of websites has always been my expertise. And from the very early days, it was just a shop window. It was a brochure basically online. We hadn't even considered building a relationship in those days. And I think there are certain people like Seth Godin has really ridden that wave because from the beginning, that's something that he saw in websites. It's like, well, we could build a relationship here. And he started doing that very early on, and you can just see where that's taken him today. So it's really nice to see now that more people are realizing that that is the purpose of a website, is to start building that relationship and bring those visitors, turn them into friends, and turn those friends into clients, and enable that process to take place online. So it feels personal, but it's very efficient for you as well, that you can add value without detracting a lot from your time. So I think getting this right for a small business is really important, because most small businesses, particularly the ones I work with, it's just one person, or possibly one person and an assistant. So they don't have all the time in the world to build these relationships one by one. So a website can be so effective there, but it's still something I think a lot of people starting for the first time in their minds are still thinking brochure, rather than, okay, let's start this relationship and build that trust, bring these people closer into my business. Is there a way of thinking or an approach that can help people do that on their website? Is there anything specific that they need to have in place to make that happen?
Yeah, I come back to that question. You should ask yourself, okay, where do I want them to go? So what do I want to get out of my website? And it's difficult, especially we see today also on coaches and different small businesses who offer service-based businesses as well. The idea is on the website is educating and, as you say, building relationship. It doesn't work like trying to sell something right away. So you need to give and educate, and so be honest and try to help people before they are come and buy from you. So try to help, giving some resources, giving tips and tricks, and sharing information so they can get more, they can maybe start something by themselves. This will then increase your authority on what you do. So that is the approach of the website. I see also on websites that just putting the price there and reach out, buy from me. But this is, I think, the wrong approach on a website. And it depends on different businesses. So we are not talking about online shop, because you go with the intention of shopping something. That is a whole difference. That is something that, for example, you have to make it easier to find the product they are looking for, so that they can buy that product as fast as possible. But if we're talking for a service-based business, for example, you have to go on that approach on building relationship and offering something, educate them until they feel safe working with you. They don't feel that you are trying to manipulate them, and you want to do that, not faking it, but being honest and saying that you're really trying to help, that you are really there, that you're offering a lot of your expertise so that people around you will be successful. I've heard a quote, if you're able to make people around you successful, you'll be successful. So it happens without doing much on that. So
yeah, that's a lovely way of thinking about it as well. And I
yeah,
often tell my clients, imagine that the people that come to your website are already your clients. How would you help them today? What would you
yeah,
do for them? Don't think about these as prospects and people you're selling to. It's really people that you're nurturing and helping already.
yes,
And then they're going to want to continue with that relationship if it feels right for them. And you touched on something else there. Don't try and be a fake. Don't try and live into anything else that you see online. You have to be yourself online. And one of the questions we had last week on the show was that is really hard and scary, because people feel a bit conscious, like, who am I to be saying this? But I think you need to flip that script, and it's not about you, it's about your client, and how can you help that next client already get the results that they want, whether or not they work with you. And when you are yourself online, then that builds the trust, particularly if you're a coach or a consultant. Most of your clients are going to have some kind of interaction with you personally before you actually jump in and have that paid relationship. So if you're completely different in person than you are online, then that destroys that trust and
yeah,
credibility that you've just built up. And it's something that I get a lot when I'm networking. It's like, oh, you're just the way you are online, as if it's a surprise. Because I think lots of people aren't doing that. They have this polished copy, which isn't them. And then when people meet them, then suddenly they think they're building this relationship, and it doesn't feel the same in person. Do you have any thoughts around that? If people are thinking, yeah, but I'm scared to be myself, is there anything or any techniques that you use with your clients that work?
Yeah, I think let's come back to the mindset. And I think you work a lot on that. So changing that mindset with your clients. So my thought is we think always that what we are offering, so there are a lot of other people that offering the same. And like you said, who am I to teach that to the others? But I think that what you're sharing sounds so simple and it's something that everybody knows. But there are still millions of people that don't know that. And as for the website, so there are still millions of people there that they have websites from 10 years ago, for example. And there are a lot of people that don't even have access to the internet. So if we go really on the opposite direction of that, so that means is there is always potential. So being yourself and just sharing that what you know. So if you learned about something, share that with people. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot out there that they need just that. So they don't need more. They don't need to make I don't know, $1 million business. They don't need to figure out how to do design on Canva, for example, or how to set up a landing page, or how to cut an image, or how to write a better copy. So sharing what you know and being yourself is always good, because without doing something, nothing will change. So if you're getting nothing in the position and place you are, then trying to be yourself and trying to share your knowledge, maybe it will change nothing. But if it doesn't, then you already are in that position. So
As you say, there may be people who are out there doing something similar to you, but they're better known or they're bolder in some way.
yeah,
But the people have come to you for a reason, that
yes,
this big guru is too expensive and they don't have a personal approach anymore. Or the person who's really bold is too bold and that's not your personality. So
yes,
there are always someone looking for you. And if they've landed on your website, then you can assume that there's something about you that has really resonated with them. And so go with that.
yes. And when we're talking on this part, which connects with the website, I see in a lot of websites, they're not just sharing their knowledge, but they are also hiding behind their websites, for example. Because you see on a lot of websites, you have all the information, but you don't know the person behind this. So that I think is important, especially for small businesses and coaches and so on. If you want to build a relationship, and when people try to book with you, they know who are they talking with. So they have an overview when they see your picture, that they have in their mind how the person will look like and with who I'm talking with. So that is also a big reason to present yourself, and also on the website. So invest maybe some money or some time. And today we can do also with the phone, a great picture, for example, and put it on a website and have yourself there. The copy that you are writing and your picture, it means you're personally talking with your audience, and that will make a lot of difference.
Yeah. And I think people really feel that, as the best-selling author of A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, and as a shy girl, putting my picture online, doing videos, being present is really not my first choice of thing to do. I would be much happier, as you say, hiding. But people want that relationship. And since I took the courage to put myself more front and center on my website, I have seen a big shift in how people relate to me outside of that as well in real life. So it is important. And I know when I go to someone else's website, I want to know who that person is, particularly if it's a service. And if you are offering a service or coaching, consulting, for example, it's quite a big deal for someone to put their hand up and say, I need help with this. So if they don't feel comfortable with you, then they're not going to make that admission. So it
Yeah,
is really important to open up, to share your story, be vulnerable. It doesn't have to
yeah,
be, hey, I'm perfect at all. In fact, if you're too perfect, it pushes people away. So you need to open up and be honest and be yourself. And it takes a bit of courage. But I think when you see how people respond to that, it starts to become easier bit by bit.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I've heard a lot of excuses and concerns as well about that, like saying, "Yeah, I don't want to be in public. I don't want my pictures to get outside." Today, I think people are so busy with TikTok, you can say, that they don't care. So they see millions of pictures. But the other thing is, okay, what's worse than that? You don't want to share your knowledge. You don't want to be present. You don't want to be outside. Okay, what's worse than that? If what you're not doing is causing you problem, financial problem, until that position where you break off from your spouse or can't get food on the table. So that is worse than you getting outside and sharing your knowledge and having your picture out there.
Yeah.
And having my pictures and so on.
Yeah, it goes back to your vision, isn't it? If you've got a vision that's bigger than your obstacles, then you can just flow through these things. And if you are bumping up against those obstacles, then go back to your vision. Are you thinking too small? Because if you're not trying to have that big impact, as you say, if you're not trying to help other people get what they want, you're not going to get what you want. So you need to increase that vision so those obstacles start to shrink and you can move forward.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing, what I see, for example, on website, especially on small businesses and so on, there are still a lot of people that don't believe on the website and they struggle getting clients. They are almost at bankruptcy position to close the store and so on, and still don't believe that websites or an ad or something like that can help them. For the local businesses, is like I had that it happened to me. I'm pretty sure it happened to you. So you are searching for something and you can find it. So imagine that everyone, so this is what I do, but I think a lot of people do. So if you're trying to find something, you go on Google right away. And the specific you are with the content, with what you write, the better and easier it will be to find. For example, I want to find the Nike shoes on my local store. I don't want to buy them online. And if you don't have a shop or something that you are offering, because on Google now, in a lot of online shops, it tells you, for example, that this product can be bought in store. And this is something that you have to keep in mind and say, okay, how is it doing that? I must do that as well because I have the same product. And so these are all small things because sure, the products or what you offer is the key, and that is the main focus. But it's not always like I'm creating a great product and people will just come and buy it. No, that doesn't happen all the time. You have to be present. You have to be there where people are looking. So they are searching Google. Okay, how can I optimize my business for Google? How can I put those keywords? And okay, I'm investing, for example, 500 or 1,000 a month on brochures and stuff like that. And not many people are coming to my store. Okay, if I take those money and run ads, let's test that out. Because so where they are hanging out, so they are hanging out on the phone. Nobody takes a newspaper. Many people don't take the time to read them. And that's why you as a business have to evolve, have to adapt, and have to be there where your customers are when they are hanging out. So you'll see the stats, okay, most of the people are viewing my website from a mobile device, and I have to be there. I have to be present. I have to run ads or whatever it takes for you to get in front of their eyes. And as well as optimizing the website for mobile. It's a big difference when we are on big screen and on small screen. So on small screen, some of people have bigger fingers than mine, for example, and they have to be able to click that button, not click 10 times until they hit it right. So these are small tweaks that will make it or break it. Okay, somebody tries to click that 10 times and say, okay, whatever. I go to the second result I found on Google and then have a look there.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes back to, as you were saying earlier, you have to know who your clients are so that you know where they're hanging out and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to access your content. But yeah, just the other day, I drove past a shop and it looked really interesting, but I couldn't stop. So I Googled it. It didn't come up. It didn't have any kind of website. I could find out nothing about this shop. And I was really disappointed. So I'm not going to bother to go back to that shop just to find out what it is, because maybe it's a complete waste of my time because it was a little bit out of the way. But if it had an online presence, then maybe I would have gone back and brought some friends. And it doesn't have to be a complicated presence, but I think it's so important these days. But not to attempt that until you know who your ideal clients are, because then you'll just be going in circles and wasting a lot of time and resources, I think.
Yeah, that happens all the time. So you have a product that you are looking for years maybe, and there is a store nearby that has that product, but you never know that this store exists.
Yeah.
So it's right in the corner, it's hidden, and you walk that street for years, and you never know that a store that has a product that you're maybe buying online, waiting weeks until you get that product, is the store there that they has the product, and you cannot find the store on Google. They're not registered, for example, on Google Maps. They not optimized for search engines, so they don't include those keywords, those products, and so on. And all these small tweaks, the small changes that will change a lot for your business. There are also a lot of other tricks. If you're, for example, let's say a restaurant, that those times that you don't have a lot of customers, you come up with offers. You have the stats, you see which times you don't have a lot of people on your restaurant, for example, or fast food or whatever, and you change that by filling that gap with different offers and encouraging people to come, and for you to have consistent and whole day that it runs and gets you client, as well as user experience. And optimizing for mobile is something that Google last couple of years is giving higher priority. So the website, it doesn't have just to have those keywords and optimize the content for Google, but it needs to be optimized for mobile devices as well, and have a great user experience. So these are something that Google, so with AI evolving and stuff like that, they know automatically if the website is easier to use, optimized for the mobile. There are texts that are on the mobile are longer and bigger and people can't read them. Google will detect them, for example, and then give another website like you higher priority than yours if they are optimized for that.
Yeah, lots to think about these days.
Yeah.
You mentioned right back at the beginning that one of the biggest purposes for any website now is it's of course to build that relationship and brand awareness as always, but it's to optimize it for conversion. What does that mean?
Optimizing for conversions is, the first thing, sure, is people, when they are searching, they have to find you. So that's the first. The second one is when they land into your website, are you communicating the right way? And this goes back to knowing your customers. And if you know them, then have a look of your website, have a look of your header. Okay, are you mentioning the problem that you're solving for them? For example, we are not just a cleaning company or a coach or something like that. So I am, or our company does that for these people, maybe in that time, or we guarantee that. So optimizing for conversions means like having great copy on your website when people land in, and as well as including, for example, if you have great reviews, mention that. If you have many years of experience, mention that. And as I said, educate your potential customers. Is like you offer them something, in most cases in exchange for an email. So the idea is like when people go to your websites and get excited about what they read there, they start reading. So it's all the journey that has to make sense. So, okay, let's say the heading, it resonates with me. Let's start reading further. And then when they start reading further, you start go a little bit deeper on that problem. Mention so the obstacles your potential customers are having, the problems, and so on. And I say, okay, that is really something that happens a lot to me. So I have this problem. I want to solve this problem. And then you go, okay, this is how I solve it. Then you start to explain that how you solve this problem. And then on top of that, including, like I said, reviews, years of experience, and the guarantees. And I encourage a lot to do that, because if you are sure about what you're offering will solve that problem, then go a step further, make a stronger offer. Then the other thing is to make it so the conversion means that people that are coming into website, your aim is when they leave the website, they leave something behind. So that's the idea. They engage with the website and then leave something behind. So there are different, sure, we hate when we see on other websites pop-ups and stuff like that, but they work. So that's something that you have to consider. So the biggest coaches, businesses, all of them, they are using these techniques. So we can say, no, I'm not using it, or should I say, be romantic in that part with the website. So you have to think different. You have to think like a business person. And that's where, okay, sure, I'm trying to help people. I want to have them work with me because I want really to help them. And if you are true on that, then offer something more. So it's like offering something for free, a free guide, lead magnet. And so when they try to leave the website, you come up with an offer. You come up with, hey, get this free resource from me before you go. Take it with you, have a look, and then if you find it useful, you can come back to me. This is the idea. See also a lot on online shops. For example, when you try to leave the website, you get a sign up and you get 10%. And if you are buying 100, 200 or $300 dollars or whatever product, then 10% make a big difference for those who don't have a lot of money. So you are saying 50 to 100 dollars on that product, and then you say, okay, let's sign up. And then you can communicate with those people, educating them further until they work with you. So this is a conversion. It's like having those small points on the website that will make people leave something behind.
There's a nice, simple way of thinking about it. And I like the exit pop-ups because mindset wise, I think they're the easiest, because sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to bother people. But with an exit pop-up, you've already lost that person anyway. So
Yes.
you've got nothing to lose. So
Yeah.
always have an exit pop-up, if nothing else. But as you say, these people have come to your website for a reason. So if they are leaving without getting what they came for, then you're almost letting them down if you don't have that final, don't forget this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I say always give it another try. Give that last try to keep them with you. So to have them all on your list, on your community. And yeah, email is still one of the most profitable resource you may have because it's something that you own. So email is something that you can take with you, and it's something that it will never lose. So from 20 years ago until now, email is still working. So the ads change, the social media change, but emails stay pretty much the same, and it converted well. What has changed on that is how you communicate, because we saw on early days, email was similar to the website, was a summary of the things that you have on the website, summary of the last blogs you posted. But today the change is that you're using email like a chat. You're communicating with the people. So you're sharing a story. You're sharing if something happened to you, and you come up with a great solution. Yeah, then you share that with people that follow you. So it's building a relationship. So all this stuff starts with making the websites, optimizing for conversion, is make it easier to find what they're looking for, make it more believable with guarantees and reviews that you have from your customers, and then making a last try with an exit pop-up or a pop-up if they stay for a couple of minutes on your website. Then you come up with something because they are on that state where, okay, I like what they offering, but I don't know. So when you make one last try, one last pop-up, they say, okay, I like what they do and they are offering me something for free. Let's take that, close the website, see what's in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Genc, thank you so much. You've shared so much value today. It's been really interesting digging in and understanding a bit more about what makes a website work today, what needs to be on there, how we can manage that, and how we can go about developing our website, whether we work with someone else like yourself to help put that together, or if you're very brave and do it yourself. Is there any last piece of advice that you'd like to leave the audience with that perhaps we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah, there are two things. So the one that I say, for example, for small businesses, don't think that website doesn't work and invest more time on optimizing your online presence. And if you're offering service-based business, if you're a coach or something like that, be willing to express yourself and to be seen, not hide yourself behind that what you're offering. So that's the advice I would give.
Fantastic. Genc, thank you so much. Again, if people want to know more about your work, where's the best place for them to find you?
One is my company website, it's thrivedigital.ch, and the other is on LinkedIn.
And Genc
This
is
is
Genc.
Genc, yes, and Doda. So my last name. So there's where they can find me. I share my thoughts there, as well as on Instagram. It's the same as on LinkedIn, same username. So they can find me on Instagram as well. And yeah, I thank you for having me. It was a pleasure sharing my thoughts on that. I'm always happy to be able to help, and hope that at least one thing that I shared will help someone get a light, a blurb, and say, okay, this is something that really can try, and hopefully will change their business. So
Great, thank you. And I'm sure everyone listening has gone away with more than one light bulb moment. You've really shared a lot of information. So thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.